Sorry about the stream dropping. I'm gonna give folks a second to find it in case people wanted to hear the rest of what I was talking about. I actually forgot what I was talking about. I lost connection for a minute there. Might be wind related, I'm not sure. We do have one person in chat. Hi, one person who found it. I hope you're having a good day. So yeah, I'm just gonna chill for a minute and see if folks find the stream. Because I definitely was only about halfway through talking about what I was talking about. Alright, now we got some folks coming in. Okay, this fucking stand is not doing what I need it to be doing. There we go. That's kind of a weird spot, but I think we can make that work. Okay, cool. Alright. If anybody remembers what the fuck I was talking about before the stream dropped, let me know. Because I was kind of in the middle of saying something and now I can't remember what the heck it was. Solar flares. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Where's my ashtray? Oh, thanks, baby. I was having a hard time staying connected last night too. Okay. Yeah, it's nerping abandoned property. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I don't know where it cut out for y'all, but yeah, I guess I was talking about nerping abandoned stuff. I wouldn't call it property if it's not being owned by anybody and it's sitting there, but yeah, it's like we respect actual ownership, not just like a piece of paper saying that something's yours. Sometimes people from the city come out here with their classist ideas about people's rights to things, and they'll come and just be a bully to people, and then when you ask them to leave, they'll be like, you don't own this, where's your deed, you know, like and that's when you pull out your shotgun and then you show them how it is that you own the space that you occupy. I'm not saying that you should shoot people for being assholes, but oh, somebody's out in the street yelling at their dog. Not like in a mean way, but telling them to move out of the way of the car that's driving. That's what I'm looking at. But it's like, you know, sometimes people are going to challenge you over stuff, and you got to protect what's yours. And that's kind of the way that things have always been. Like, we didn't need the government to tell us that we owned shit before, and it seems like people kind of forget that. Another thing that's kind of like omnipresent in slab culture is general distrust of the government and cops and the medical system in general. Like, people really, really don't like it when you call the police. There are a few exceptions to that rule, like, you know, if you find a dead body or something, or somebody is like actively harming somebody and there's nothing that you can really do. But even then, like, or in the case of like a medical emergency or something, folks that live out here will like almost 100% of the time, I can't even think of like a time ever when emergency response showed up before slabbers did to help out. It just doesn't happen. We're really out of the way. They frankly don't give a shit about us. They don't see us as like valid members of society because, like, I mean, we kind of aren't. We've got our own society out here, but like the idea of valid members of society is kind of a construct anyway. But yeah, a lot of the times if you call the police out here, they'll make just a bigger issue or create an issue from something that isn't an issue. Just kind of bungle things up and make things harder for everybody. And most people don't want to even talk to cops or government people. Like there's a census that gets taken out here every year, and they get people from the social services office to come out and write down people's names on stuff and get information and whatever. And like most people will just straight out chase them out of their camps and be like, get the fuck out of here, you fucking fed or whatever. Some people will be nice, you know, it really depends. Not everybody's just like hard stance against government officials and cops, but most people pretty much are. And they're not typically welcome in people's establishments or spaces. But I've always been cool about letting them into at least like the library when I'm there, and Aurora's cool about it too. I mean, it's like it's a library, so people are allowed to come in there. It's like neutral ground. A house of knowledge is like, it's for the people, even people that we don't agree with or particularly like. So as long as they're not coming in trying to hurt anybody, they have every much as right to access the space and the free educational materials and goods that are provided. Mostly when cops come through, they're like showing newbies or like ride-alongs to the library because they think it's cool, and I think that's great, regardless of my stance on law enforcement or whatever. Because when they're entering the library, they're there to see the library. They're not there to hassle people or anything. And you know, if they were to, then they wouldn't be welcome anymore, just like anybody else. Mama D had just posted some comments about this subject just as the last stream died. Oh shit. Okay, and I just fucking almost dropped my stream again. Great. We're still here though. Okay. What did Mama D comment? I hope she found the new stream, or maybe she had some chores to get to or something. Let me know what she said. Because I'm sure it was pertinent. How does the economy work? That's not really, I mean, I guess that's sort of in the culture, but like people will choose to barter and use cash, and actual like physical goods, rather than, you know, like if you go to a place that serves food or something and there's like a suggested donation, right? Like they probably have Venmo or something, but you know, you're not gonna like take out your credit card and put it in a fucking slot. It's, yeah, cash is king, and barter is preferable. But you know, with bartering, you got to know like what it is that person needs, because like something that might have value to somebody doesn't have value to somebody else. I use like weed and hash and dabs and stuff as currency a lot, and other people do too, because that's what a lot of people are going to spend their money on anyway, or like other fun stuff. I don't know, like I've definitely used mushrooms as currency. And like when I was selling the rest of my stuff here, like my tools and things, people were much happier to strike a deal for those items, or you know, pay cash than just straight up pay for it. I've noticed the cops don't bother camps that are non-nuisance. Not a single cop at Ponderosa this year. Nice. Yeah, they don't come into the library either unless they were like really are lost and they're trying to figure out where they're trying to go or something. And depending on what they're here for, like I'll usually at least like give them an idea, like, oh, you're at the edge of slabs, man. Like there's nothing after here. You're not gonna find what you're looking for. But yeah, if you head back that way, then you'll find this or that. Like I'm not gonna name drop anybody unless it's like somebody that's a known problem here. But ton at Paul's next door though. Yeah, Paul the cop caller. What a piece of shit. there is a fella that lives right next to Ponderosa that's constantly calling the police for I don't even know what, just all sorts of things, and that's really not cool. People don't like that, and people do notice. Yep, Paul's a cop caller. Paul next to Ponderosa calls the cops like every fucking day, and that's one of the reasons why there's been heavier presence out here. I don't think I know him personally, but all I know about him is that, and that is a verified fact. So, yeah, that sucks. We don't like that. That's fucking terrorism, honestly, because, you know, if the wrong person or in whatever situations with dealing with cops can get violent pretty quick on their end, and you know, it could be a literal death sentence. At the very least, it's harassing people and wasting time of law enforcement. Like, they don't want to come out here. I've talked to plenty of them. They would rather just leave us alone. So people that do that kind of thing are a nuisance to us and to the county. So that's really, really not okay. I live on the east side of Las Vegas and feel everyone here would benefit from following these guidelines. Right, yeah, it's just like common sense and the way that society has kind of always worked. It's just like in the last few decades we've forgotten that, and we've kind of forgotten that there was life before all of this rigid social constructions and expectations. All that shit is made up. I wish I knew what Mama D was saying. If anybody else in chat is in slabs or been to slabs and you have some input or some experiences that you'd like to share, please feel free. And if you're feeling generous, there are links in the description, and the captain just posted some in the chat here. If you want to get down with the kickdown, throw some cheddar my way, then feel free, and I do really appreciate it. It's super great to be appreciated in that way. There ain't no nation like donation. Dave says, I like how autonomous slabs is. It takes care of itself. I mean, people take care of themselves, sure, like, and autonomy is respected and held in a very high regard. So, like, there have been certain situations where people have had medical emergencies and the ambulance is called, and like I said earlier, like, slabbers will always show up before first response because they come from far away and they don't really, we're not high priority on their list. But then when they do show up, like in like Babylon, people are going to do kind of like the expected thing. Like, if you get an ambulance called for you, you're probably going to want to go to the hospital or something, but like, people out here will just straight up refuse, and poor folks all over will straight up refuse because we live in the US and the medical system is broken and nobody can afford an ambulance ride. They'd rather die than get bungled up in the medical system some of the time. But like, even if I feel like I want that person to go get medical assistance, like if they're just like straight up no, I'm not going to push it because that's their right. They're allowed to make choices that I think are bad. And I respect that. You kind of have to respect that. Some people out here don't want to go into Babylon at all. They don't want to go into town. They don't want to go in the city. They hate it. They hate everything about it. The social structures, the just kind of capitalist undertones that permeate everything that you do and everywhere that you go. And I did that for a while too. Like I think my longest stretch of not leaving slabs. I mean, I went around out into the desert in the wilderness around slabs and stuff, or went on like day trips out, just like I said, out in the wilderness or the desert and stuff. But I think the longest that I spent without going to town proper was like 3 months or something like that, and it was great. I like forgot how to be a Babylonian for a minute. But yeah, autonomy is held in very high regard out here. Like if you don't want to do something, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, even if it's going to hurt yourself, like people kind of have to respect it. And they should. Because, I mean, that's kind of like the most powerful thing that we have is ourselves and our own freedom of choice. Ugh. I just swallowed a piece of tobacco, I think. Antifada revolution is jumping this summer. Y'all be prepared for disruptions in goods and services. What the fuck does that mean? Okay, first off, I don't know what Antifada is. And also, there's already been disruptions in goods and services because of our fucking government getting into shit that they shouldn't be getting into. But I'm not going to go on a rant about that. If you're here to talk shit on people who are participating in activism, then you're on the wrong fucking channel, bud. Because we're all here for that reason, because we fucking don't trust the government. Recently, a man from Charlotte was picked up there for killing his girlfriend there. Then the local news ran this huge slab hit piece for some reason as if it was the slab's fault. That's typical. Yeah. You know, outsiders come out here and do heinous shit, and then they want to act like it's slabbers. And that guy never even lived in slabs. He had been here for like, what, 3 days? Because he thought that he could hide out here. Yeah, and we were informed about so with that, and this is not really on topic, it kind of is, I guess, but nowhere in any of those news reports did they report that they had flashbanged this man 3 times next to other people's camps while he was in a tent, which is crazy. I mean, yeah, fuck that guy, but I looked it up, and it's pretty damn unusual for cops to use flashbangs on civilians, much less 3. Seems like overkill. I heard it over here at the library, clear as day, and it was over by Salvation Mountain. That's about 1.5 miles away from here, with like hills and berms and washes and like a forest in between me and there. Yeah, it was crazy. So, of course, they're going to try and make a hit piece on slabs because they're classist and they want to blame people here. If you actually looked at like the residents of slabs and the crime rate, I suspect it would be pretty low. But since they count every single person that comes here, that'd be unfair. That'd be like if you lived in a seasonal tourist town and people counted every crime that was done by people who don't live in your town as crime committed by your town. That's pretty fucked up. So, yeah, fuck you, local news sources running hit pieces on slabs, you ignorant classist pieces of shit. You are scum, and I hate you. If it didn't get hotter than Satan's ballsack here, I'd stay year round. First off, Satan has a dog pussy. And it does get very hot out here. But that's also one of the reasons why Slab stays kind of the way it is, because the summer has a way of kind of purging all of those seasonal folks and people who don't live out here. And kind of, the summer is like a cleansing time. Right now, it's like the time where it's like starting to push people out that shouldn't or can't be here. And it's just like a natural ebb and flow. So like every winter season feels different because it's like new crowds start to trickle in, new camps get started to get built, new establishments, new vibes. So like, you know, when the fall comes and people start showing back up in October, that's a really great time to establish like a temporary hangout spot. Like, you know, maybe you want to make a tea house or a little snack shack or a dance club or something for the winter season. It's great. You can help kind of steer the trajectory of the winter season and participate in how that goes. It's really cool to see and really exciting. I've given up on USA government. I don't even know if I have Social Security in 9 years. Yeah, Terry, I know. That's fucked up. They kind of have this facade that if you participate in that, then you'll have benefits of I guess like security and protection from the government, but they don't really offer that. It's a facade. You don't really, the services and protections that they offer get less and less every year, every month even. Possum is asking, can folks who summer away establish their own spaces? Yeah, I literally just talked about that. You probably asked that question before I mentioned that. But yeah, it's you can build a pop-up space for the winter season. Just like, don't expect somebody else to watch it over the summer unless you've already, like, maybe, I don't know, like if you were going to do something like that and wanted to come back to it next season, then I would suggest establishing your winter camp like adjacent to a slabber, somebody that does live here year round, not somebody who says they're going to live here over the summer, because like 90% of those people that say they're going to last the summer don't. I'd say at like 98%, honestly. Yeah, odds are, yeah. Everybody comes out here and says that they're a slabber, that they live here now, and then they don't last through till like May, June. Definitely like May is really a good purging season for a lot of those folks that don't have what it takes to hack it. So yeah, like establishing your temporary camp adjacent to or like in the general space of somebody that's going to be here and has been here is a smart decision, because then you could like pay them to keep an eye on your camp and make sure nobody nerps your shit while you're not around to guard it. That's a good way to do it. People do that all over the desert, not just here. Or if you build a really nice fence around the space and lock it up and whatever, like if somebody really wants to get into it, they will. But if you don't make it very easy, then it'll probably be fine for a while, especially if you got eyes on it. Let's see. Does anybody have any burning questions about slab culture and society that you haven't been able to get answers to from other channels or other videos? Now's the time to ask. Something about society and culture, not like whatever. Crooked Dog Ranch is asking about fentanyl problem. It's here. There's definitely a few people who have chemical dependency issues, but like it's kind of known who they are, and like, you know, people have a more accepting attitude of people and their struggles and issues. So like, you know, there's definitely folks that that use that, or like the blues or something. It's definitely been a big problem in Nyland. Even like there was a couple times that I went to the general store there, and people, you know, some guy would be standing out there, like, look me up and down and be like, oh yeah, that person looks alternative. They probably want drugs. And then they'll like ask me if I'm the blues dealer or if I want to buy blues or something, and I'm just like, no, fuck off. So like it's definitely in Nyland, but the general like acceptance of drug culture out here, I think, actually kind of helps with that. There is definitely a big harm reduction kind of attitude and movement out here that has really been helpful. But it's not like in general people aren't really using that kind of stuff. But yeah, there are a few, and we did lose a number of people a couple of years ago, or like last summer at the beginning of the summer. There was a number of reported deaths that were related to hard drugs like fent and stuff. But there were also a few people picked up who were associated with dealing these drugs that are no longer here. So that kind of came to an end. Yeah, it's sad, but it's really not a huge, like, it's not an overlying problem. People that live out here year round kind of have to be on top of their shit, because if you're using substances over the summer, it's already hard enough to survive as is and to thrive. So like, this is the time of the season where a lot of people are like cutting back on things. There's not really the party vibe of the winter is gone after prom. It's kind of our last hurrah. There are definitely still parties, and in fact, there's going to be a fun show and fun party tomorrow night, and I'm headlining. We've been practicing all week. Did a practice last night. Some folks watched. But yeah, we're going to be on top of our game tomorrow. It's going to be sick. Got another practice tonight. Iron out some of the some parts of some of the songs that we were working on last night that weren't quite tight. I'm going to tighten it up and do all that. Slabbers seem pretty tolerant. Any racist political issues to look out for? Not with like slab culture in general. I mean, there's definitely people out here with like some shitty ideas about people of different races, or there's definitely people out here who hate queer people. Like one in particular, there's like literally one guy that I can think of, and that's Squatch, and I'm pretty sure he makes YouTube videos. He's a piece of shit, and he has kidnapped and tortured 2 pregnant women, one in Utah and one here. Definitely shouldn't be here. So if any of you are like aware of this guy or like following his shit online, know that he's a predator and that he like is out here doing hate crimes. And I don't know why he's still here or why he ended up moving into wherever, but by the time he had moved in, I wasn't aware. I don't think I was here during that time, but yeah, there's like one guy. But other than Squatch, people are pretty fucking chill and not racist and not homophobic or transphobic or sexist or whatever. People come out here to be who they are and be left the fuck alone about it. So like this is one of the few places in this country where somebody like me, like I'm obviously like a queer punk, and like in other parts, in other towns, I go walk around and I get a lot of stares or people like coming up and asking me rude questions or something. But out here, I can just walk down the street and I'm just like a normal fucking person. And, you know, I can go take my little walk and like wave at people and be like, hi, how's it going? Or whatever. And there's people of color out here, despite what some people might think. There really isn't like a big racist problem. Like as a whole, socially, slabbers are extremely tolerant and welcoming and accepting of all people. And I love that. I think that's really great. Most of the time I feel a lot safer here than I do in most other towns. And like, you know, if people see or witness you being harassed for something that doesn't hurt anybody, even if they don't really understand it. Like there's a lot of old timers here that have no idea about fucking pronouns or like transgender like experiences or whatever. But if they see somebody fucking with you and you're not fucking with anybody, they'll say something and they'll have your back. They might misgender you while they're doing it, but they'll have your back. But for the most part, like there's a bigger trans community here than anywhere else I've been. That isn't like an intentional trans community, you know? And there are a few camps that are like, I feel like half of the camps out here are run or like occupied in the collective by trans people or queer folks. And yeah, the people are welcome. There's lots of brown folks out here too. Of many different walks of life and coming from different cultures. Some of these YouTubers sell a bunch of crap on the slabs. Don't know why you entertain some of them. Me? I don't entertain anybody that sells a bunch of crap. I don't know why you're talking to me like that. Oh, another thing that I really, really like about slab culture is that people are really direct. Because, you know, like out in rural communities, like out here, people just don't have time to mince words or beat around the bush. It's like, you know, you kind of just got to get shit out of the way. So, like, if I have a concern or something, like, about what somebody else is doing, I'm just going to straight up say it and be like, hey, man, what was up with that thing you did the other day? That was pretty fucking stupid. And they'll either be like, fuck you, you don't know me, or they'll be like, you know, I thought about it after I went home last night, and yeah, I definitely could have handled that better. Or whatever. Or maybe they'll be like, no, fuck you, but maybe I'll think about it later or something. But yeah, people are direct, and you can just say things to people. You can speak your mind, and that's valued here. I think that's really important too. And even if you don't really understand people or get along with them, like I've told this story before, but there was one time when I was first starting to live out here that really like made it click to me, like what slab community really meant. And I ran over like this wire on the road, like a coil of wire, and it wrapped around my drive shaft while I was driving. I didn't notice it until like I could hear, you know, like some scraping or whatever. And I was like, fuck. So I pull over. it's blazing hot. It's like 120 degrees out. Not the pavement. It's sand, but like the sand road was blazing hot, and I have to climb under my van to go do some stuff and sweat in buckets. And the moment I climb under the van, the next person that was driving up along the road pulls over, stops, and like immediately just like comes down and starts helping me take it apart and like, helping me out. And like while that's happening, another person stops by and they're like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? Do you need some water? And I'm like, no, we're good. Thank you. But yeah, I'll take a little water. Thanks. And then Builder Bill happened to be driving by. He stopped too and checked in and made sure everything's going fine. I think like 5 people stopped in a matter of minutes in the time that it took me to, and this other person helping me to take the wire off of my drive shaft. And like that's when I realized, like, holy shit, like that's community. Because if that had happened to me in town or something, like probably, like 90% of people would have just like looked and kept driving, and maybe like one nice person would have stopped to see if I was cool or whatever, maybe. But like literally everybody that passed by was like, hey, what's up? You good? And that's fucking great. Ponderosa is a trans queer safe space. Yeah, we love that. We really do. And you know what? Like, fucking queer folks out here are like a cultural powerhouse. Like, we bring a lot to the table. Most of the musicians out here that are like the most involved, and folks that we see play every week are queer folks. And there's like we bring a lot of art and fashion too. There's people from all walks of life that do, of course, but yeah, some of your favorite slabbers are queers, and that's just a fact. We bring a lot to the table, so it's like, yeah, the acceptance and care and safety that we experience because of our allies here in the community, it brings a lot to the community as well. Because if we're not worrying about fighting for our lives out here, we can spend more time creating things that the community can enjoy, like music and art. That's really beautiful. All right, well, this plus the drop stream earlier, we're at about an hour. If anybody else has any more questions about slab culture, or what is a slabber? I mean, I've already defined that. That's pretty easy to define. Somebody that lives here year round and has spent 2 consecutive summers homesteading. But yeah, floor is open. Ask your questions. I'll answer a few more, and then I'm gonna get to the rest of my day. Got some more chores to do and such.